In this video, we're going to be looking at the Speedy You lab. So in this lab, students walked a 7-meter distance, or ran it, timed it, and that time is here. And then using that time, we had to figure out our average speed. So that's going to be our first step here. So down here at the bottom, the distance that we're traveling is 7 meters, and the time was 6.42 seconds. Okay? And like I said, we are trying to figure out our speed or velocity, so our unknown is going to be the letter V. At this point, it's just simple substitution, so our V is equal to our D, which is 7 meters over 6.42 seconds. All right, and I'm going to pull my calculator out, and 7 divided by 6.42 is 1.09 meters per second. So my calculated velocity was 1.09, and the units are already in the table, so I don't need to rewrite those. Now, the second part of the lab was saying, okay, if we were going 1.09 meters per second for 7 meters, how long would it take us to go 30 meters? This is before we actually did 30 meters. So we can figure that out using some math. So our distance is going to be 30 meters. Our velocity is what we know this time. We're trying to find our time. So our unknown in this case is going to be time. And we're going to go ahead and substitute in our equation here. Distance is 30 meters. Our velocity is 1.09 meters per second. And 30 divided by 1.09 gives me 27.5 seconds, and that's equal to time. I'm going to put that in my calculation up here, so 27.5. All right, now what we did next in the lab, after we figured out, okay, if we were going that velocity, this is how long it would take us, then we actually timed and saw how long it took to go. And that's where this 29.12 comes from. Now, if you notice, the two numbers are different. The next thing that we're going to do with our information is we are going to find our percent difference. So the formula for percent difference is right here. I'm going to plug into that equation and we'll see what we get. So it says calculated. We have our calculated amount here, and then we have our measured amount here. Now, if you notice in the formula, we have these bars at the top, right here and right here. Those are absolute value bars. So if you remember from math, absolute value is how far a number is from 0. So if you have a negative number, let's say it was -5, that -5 is 5 units away from 0. So one way of thinking of it is if you have a negative number inside of absolute value bars, it becomes positive. So in this case, my calculated number is smaller than my measured number. So I'm going to plug in 27.5 minus 29.12. Some groups had them flipped where the measured was larger than the calculated. The calculated was larger than the measure, and they got a positive number. But you'll see here in a minute that we're going to get a negative number. All right, so on my calculator, I'm going to do 27.5 minus 29.12, and we get, I'm going to carry these absolute value bars down, -1.62 over 29.12 times 100. Okay, so these absolute value bars are going to take this negative here and they're going to get rid of it. So 1.62 over 29.12 times 100. So 1.62 divided by 29.12 gives me 0.056, and then I have to multiply that by 100. That's going to give me 5.56. That's my percent difference. Okay, Now, down at the bottom, this is what you're going to need to do on your own. The first analysis question says, if you could keep your speed obtained in this lab forever, how long would it take you to walk 1 kilometer, which is 1,000 kilometers? So what we did in our second part here, where we figured it out for 30, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do it for 1,000. So I can give you this hint. Our velocity is going to be 1.09. Our distance is going to be 1,000, and then you're going to do the rest. The second question says, how many miles per hour did you go? So you're going to take your velocity at 1.09 meters per second, and you need to Google what that would be in miles per hour. Now the third part, you're going to have a difficult time doing if you weren't actually there to see it. It says, what factors contributed to the difference in calculated versus measured value for the 30 meters? Okay, so when we figured out how long it would take to go 30 meters with math, we were basing that off of the 7 meters that we actually we actually timed. But then when we timed it, we got a different number. Every group got a different number, and this could be for a number of different reasons. One reason might be that they ran or walked at a different speed the second time. Another reason might be with the stopwatches. A lot of students had never used a stopwatch before, other than the one on their phones, so I would say difficulty with stopwatch. All right, so having a hard time getting it started and stopped. You could be starting or stopping it early or late. All right, those are 3 good reasons right there. So what you need to do on your own is you need to solve analysis questions 1 and 2. I gave you some reasons for 3, and that should be hopefully enough to get you through the rest of this lab.